back, everybody. My name is Tim, and this is another Real Ideal Gear review. Today we're looking at the Casio AQ S810W. This is a watch that has kind of that classic G-Shock look to it. It's a faux G-Shock or a fake G-Shock, or a, maybe not a fake, but a wannabe G-Shock. A roadie G-Shock. Anyway, this watch is kind of in that category of just kind of chunky, has big buttons, big analog display. This is an analog digital watch. So you're going to see the analog display, you're going to see a digital display on here. And we'll go through the 5 typical things that I typically evaluate on a watch. So we'll go through with size, fitment, finish, accuracy, and then legibility, lume, or in this case, light. Actually, it has lume, so we're going to do both of those. All right, so for size, I'll put in the window down below here, kind of the dimensions of this watch, but it's a chunky watch. It's kind of that G-Shock style. And so it has a tall profile to it. That tall profile is there to protect the crystal. You've got some larger buttons, which I like, and those larger buttons do have kind of a case that kind of goes around the buttons so they don't get accidentally pushed too easily, although they are bigger buttons, so the tendency is that they could be pushed easier. But I do like the bigger buttons versus the square, the 5610, where the buttons are small and kind of inset. So I prefer this style of buttons over those anyway. Overall weight of the watch, it's light. It's a resin case, resin band. So it's a lightweight watch. So it's a chunky, lightweight watch that's an analog digital display. So when we look at the fitment of this watch, typical Casio complaint that I have, it's either too tight or too loose. So far though, I'm about 50-50 or batting 500 with watches from Casio that fit right at the outset. So this one fits, so now I'm right at 50-50. So fitment wise, it's adequate. It does fine. I do like the keeper that kind of ratchets on the strap, because there's a little bit of a notch on the keeper, there's a notch on the strap, and so when you're wearing it, the keeper doesn't slide around unnecessarily. The strap is a wider strap. It's a little wider than the Casio Greyman or the Royale, and I've got reviews for both of those if you want to check those out. But it's a wider strap, so just be aware of that. It's going to have a little bit more coverage on your wrist. If you're not real fond of wide straps, this may not be for you as far as the strap goes. Finish, it's a resin case, mineral crystal, prone to scratches. It's a green color. I chose an olive green, I guess is what it's called, because I wanted to try something that was a little bit more outdoorsy. So I like this color combination. I do like the contrast on the dial. We'll get to that in legibility here in a second. But I do like the finish of this watch. I'm not a huge fan of the blocky nature of some of these Casio watches. I live with it, but it's not something that I prefer. So that's just something as far as the finish overall. It's kind of the typical Casio finish. As far as accuracy goes, Casio quartz, not a big deal. It's a tough solar, so you're not going to have issues with the battery dying on you or not knowing when the battery needs to be changed. So it's a tough solar. Put it in the windowsill at your home once a week, once a month, charge it up. Wear it around a little bit. It'll be charged in a few days if you just wear it normally. It's a comfortable watch to wear. It's a little tall on the wrist, but when it comes down to the accuracy, no issues whatsoever. Now, legibility, lume, and or light, and it has both of those, light and has all three actually, legibility, lume, and light. So let's talk about legibility. The contrast on the analog dial is great. I love that. That's my favorite part of the watch, is the analog dial. The digital display is the worst part of the watch, and I think the person who recommended this watch, that I check it out, and also said, hey, you're probably not going to like the size of the digital display, but just check it out anyway. They were 100% right. It's just too small. And again, Casio has wasted space by putting whatever this countdown second bar window thing on the far right hand side of the watch, on the 4 o'clock side of the watch. It's just another waste of space. You know, use that for more display space. Use that for a bigger display if you can. And if they could have made the display for the digital part a little bit bigger, it would have been way better. I think it's beyond what I can typically see without my reading glasses on. And one of the things that's on the home display is the day of the week. And honestly, sometimes I forget the day of the week because of the work that I do, and it's just monotonous from day to day. So I'm just like, well, is this Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday? So that is something I think that they could have improved on, is just the size of that window as far as legibility goes. The legibility of the lume and the light. The light does a good job of lighting up the digital display. There's enough lume to light up the hands and the hour markers on the analog display. So no major complaints there, Could be a little stronger in both areas, kind of a typical Casio thing when you're dealing with a watch that's less than $50. So with that in mind, I mean, you're going to get what you pay for. So don't expect that this is going to have, you know, the best light or the best lume out there and just knock it out of the park. It's nowhere near the ProTrek. And the ProTrek's not great either, but it's not as good as the ProTrek triple sensor that I have. So water resistance is 100 meters, so no issues with water. Wear it in and out of water, no problem. Shower, bath, whatever. You shouldn't have any issues with that. Is this an outdoor watch? Absolutely. It's a high value watch. It's a low cost. It'll do everything that you need it to do. As far as the modes here, we'll pause and do a quick thing on the modes. So we'll go through the functions really quickly. So at the home screen or the main window, you have the analog watch. You also have the day of the week and the seconds that go along with the analog watch. You have the annoying cascading countdown timer or countdown second, whatever that thing is on the right. All right, so the first mode you go to is the battery condition. You have high, medium, low, and you also have world time. In my case, I have it set up for the East Coast. You have alarms 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You also have the hourly signal that you can set as well in this mode. You have a countdown timer, and then you also have a stopwatch. And with those modes in mind, I think you've got everything covered. You've got your alarm, timer, world time, stopwatch, and battery indicator, which is kind of cool. And then the home screen, you can go between the 24-hour time, you can go into the month and the day, or you can also have the day of the week, and the seconds roll next to that as well. So there's some ways to change the display up a little bit, but it's just so hard to see that it's, you know, I don't mind pulling up my glasses to do stopwatch work or timer work, but when it's the day of the week, that's a different story for me. So overall score for this is an 8.8 out of 10. Is it a recommend? Not really. I think there's other watches out there that do a better job with legibility and light and lume. And maybe they're more expensive, maybe they're about the same price. I just don't see this one covering the ground it needs to cover, especially with that display and the digital display. It could have been, I wished it would have been, and maybe they can change it down the line, re-engineer it to be a little bit bigger. If it's a little bit bigger, I'm in. I think this watch has a lot more going for it. So there you go. My name is Tim. This has been another Real Ideal Gear review, and we'll catch you next time.